So I'm praying, I'm fasting, I'm asking God, take this cup from me, God, remove this thing. And so finally, I'm struggling with this thing, and finally I'm praying for Buddy Bird. I'm like, Carlton Bird needs to be the next president. And I'm praying for him. I'm not praying for myself no more. I'm praying for him. Because now we're down to like the last ones. I'm praying. And he praying for me, and I'm praying for him, and I'm like, nah. So finally they're like, they did all the interviews live except mine. Because remember, I'm just coming back, and they're like, we're going to do you by Zoom. So I'm like, this is another disadvantage because I'm Zoom.
Right.
They do the Zoom, and then they're like, can you come to Oakwood on Sunday? You got to be kidding. So I go to Oakwood on Sunday, but I'm just not whatever. I get my nephew, I take him to Cracker Barrel, we eat some pancakes, go to interview. I don't go with any notes, no purse, nothing, because I'm just going to talk what I know. I'm just going through the motions. I'm going to talk about what I know.
Sure.
I'm going to talk about how to build a school because I know how to do this. It's secondhand. This is what the gifting that Jesus has given me.
Sure.
Just going to talk about it. Okay. That's going to be it. And then the next day they call me and they're like, we want you to be the president of Oakwood.
Wow.
Life can be fast-paced, strenuous, and flat-out overwhelming. Life transitions and taboo topics can make it hard to catch your breath. Welcome to Breathe, a podcast that enables you to slow down, get your bearings, and engage in real conversations where no topic is off limits. Breathe is presented by Breath of Life, hosted by David Person and speaker-director Pastor Debleaire Snell.
Welcome to Breathe.
Hey.
Pastor Snell.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Pastor Nugent over there at the controls.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it looks like I'm saying fight the power, but I'm really dapping up Pastor Nugent.
From a distance.
From a distance, yeah. And David Person here, of course. We are in St. Louis.
St. Louis, Missouri.
At the GC.
Yeah.
Now, you have been here for, I think you pretty much bought a home and started another ministry
we signed a lease on an apartment here, essentially. We've been here for just over 2 weeks.
Wow.
We just concluded a 2-week Hope Rally or Evangelist Revival. Really grateful and thankful. We were able to add 58 people to
Praise
the church,
the Lord for that.
and a couple dozen others who will be studying to be baptized in coming weeks. And so settled quite comfortably here in St. Louis, and enjoyed my time here.
You've been putting in work, man. I caught a snippet of one of the services, and you were doing your thing. So
man.
Praise God for that.
I tell you, there is nothing like, I love preaching wherever I get an opportunity, but there's just something about sitting before people who are hearing the gospel for the first time, or the first time in a long time, and just when you see somebody being convinced even of the idea of God, or just just the belief that Jesus is coming again, or just finding out how easy it actually is to be saved. There's something that is reviving in me when I see that happen. It takes you back to when you first believed, and so it's a lot of joy. It's a lot of work, but man, the rewards far outweigh whatever sacrifices are going to it.
And before we introduce our guests, I just want to make one more observation. I noticed that Sister Snell was singing with our own Danita Wilson Jones.
Yep.
I'm sorry, the other way. Yeah, Danita Wilson Jones.
Yep.
And with Tamara Bodie. And they were kind of doing it, man.
Oh, so now the last 3 years, they formed a little Breath of Life trio. And so when we are away, so of course Danita's running stage, Gianna does communications, and then of course Tam is kind of our nightly singing evangelist.
Right.
But now they've just kind of developed this synergy musically. And so now it's just an expectation. It's not even a special feature. It's a thing now.
Nice. Yeah. Well, that kind of summarizes what's been happening here. If you've been following Breath of Life and you know that the ministry was powerful, and we praise God for it. And speaking of powerful, let me say this first. We were supposed to do, for this episode, we were supposed to continue
we're in this series. I ain't there yet.
Right.
But we're going to interrupt this.
Right.
Because we have a special GC edition.
Yes.
And we have a guest today that I'm as excited about as we've had. But we'll pick up this series here in a couple weeks. So we're going to do this Monday, of course, today. And then next week, will be our 2 GC sessions. And then we'll pick it up in a couple weeks.
And I think you'll understand when you see who this guest is for this episode, why it was so important that we do this.
Yeah.
I have had the privilege of knowing this woman for over 40 years, and watching her evolution has been inspiring, not just as a friend or a classmate or college mate, but also as a friend. Dr. Gina Spivey Brown, Oakwood's new president, is our guest today.
Welcome to Breathe.
Thank you. I am breathing. I was trying to get ready to say to Dave, I don't know how he's known me 40 years, but I'm like 42, but I digress. I was 2 years old when we met,
Right, there you go.
Forgive me, Jesus. Forgive me, Jesus. But I'm happy to be here, Pastor Snell. Follow your ministry. I've heard your books and heard Linda Anderson do your morning piece every Saturday and watch Dave do Breathe. And, my thing for breathing is, as a nurse, if God doesn't exhale, we don't inhale.
That's right.
And so breathing, and even when you say, even when you say Yahweh, it's Yahweh. The whole thing is breathing. You're breathing the word, and so it's breathe is so appropriate, not just for breath of life, but for breathing in the word of God and for being that change. So, the Lord has blessed your ministry. You have just walked through water and not walked on water, walked through water, come through the fire, and God's blessings on you for this ministry and for continuing on, Dave. Always happy to be around you, just a communicator par excellence, and happy to be here at GC with our 10,000 closest friends, as they would say. It's like everybody and their mothers at GC, and it's just a very fascinating time for our church. You see the church at work, and it's the church is moving and growing, and even the little nuances of them saying, don't put in maybe, put in must for the church manual, which I don't know how you do that when you got 2,000 people voting, but I digress on our format. But still, seeing the church at work and just where we are, the background of where we are right now with Oakwood's booth being to our left, and then seeing last year in our various universities all paced out, that we are one as a church, and it makes you hasten and want to see the coming of Jesus even sooner. And so I'm happy to be here with the two of you powerful men.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah, there is something special about being here and seeing all the institutions and really just institutions. It's just people. And we're all connected, in our mission and our purpose, and that's great. So listen, we want to maximize our time here because we're excited to have you here with us. So, Madam President, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your upbringing, your early faith days, maybe your parents. Just give us a little bit of a synopsis, just your upbringing.
Sure. So the Lord has been really gracious to me. I grew up, people would say meager beginnings, but I grew up poor. We were so poor we didn't even know we were poor.
That's how you know you're poor, though. If everybody around you is poor,
you don't even know you're poor. And it wasn't until we got older that we realized, I think we were poor. You have the fan, you put it in the window and you blow it backwards so that it comes through. There's one air conditioner in the house, and you all sleep in the living room so you can get the cool air, and you put the blanket up at the door so that you can block the air into the one room. My grandfather worked at the Naval Hospital, and he and my grandmother would drive past my father's parents, and they would bring a plastic bag of hamburgers and hot dogs. They'd be frozen. And the bun and the burgers were frozen together. And there was no microwave. And so you put it in the oven, and the meat would be hot, but the bread would be cold. You peel it apart, put some mayonnaise and stuff on it, and you think you got a whole meal. You were poor, and you didn't even know you're poor. But I realized—
Where'd you grow up?
Norfolk, Virginia.
Norfolk.
And I graduated from high school in Suffolk, Virginia. I realized that I was poor for a reason, because when you're poor and you don't know you're poor, you get to, and then when you become an adult and you're no longer poor, you understand the plight of the poor. So Jesus needed me to be poor. I have 4 siblings, 1 sister who went to Oakwood, graduated in '83. I have 3 brothers. 2 of my brothers attended Oakwood. 1 other one graduated, Daryl. Daryl graduated in '86. I was '84, '85. My other brother went in '79. My sister in '83. My other brother is a police detective, so he didn't go. But you realize the plight of the poor. And so when we were at Oakwood, they had exam permits. And with these exam permits, you wouldn't know anything about this, but you had to have an exam permit which gave you permission to take your exam. And our friends were so poor, we'd be in a line praying together and singing together. Dave didn't know anything about this either because Dave wasn't poor. But Dave wasn't poor. It wasn't before his time. He just wasn't poor.
He wasn't poor.
His bill was already paid by Dr. Person. By the Person parents, right?
Hey, listen, you're bringing something to light because he always be talking about the South Side of Chicago.
South Side, right. South Side, like the Obama South Side,
Right.
And so we would pray, and some of us wouldn't have enough money, so they would give their $250 to somebody else to make them get their bill done. And so you understand the plight of our students. I understand one of the things I said to our staff last week is we have to have a food pantry because we're going to have students that are hungry. Because you remember being hungry. And we're going to have students that need clothes, and you remember coming and not having any clothes. And then, I remember going to Africa on one trip and getting there, and my stuff didn't get there. The stuff they were giving away got there, but my stuff didn't get there. And I ended up wearing somebody's size 18 dress that I tied to the side, and somebody's, until my stuff got there for 2 days later. And it didn't bother me because when you grow up poor, you understand poor. And so I grew up in Norfolk, Virginia. My parents divorced when I was about 9 years old, between 7 and 9. My mother went back to school. She was a 4-year Pine Forge graduate. She had done 2 years of college. She went back to school after that, became a music teacher, taught in Norfolk Public Schools for the rest of my life until she stopped teaching. And we were in the church. We were in Pathfinders, but we were, we lived out at that point. We had to have people come and pick us up to take us to Pathfinder meeting and to give us a ride here, there. And I wanted to go to Pine Forge. I begged to go to Pine Forge because my mother was a 4-year Pine Forge graduate. And so I wanted to go to Pine Forge. My mother couldn't afford it. And even though at that point she was remarried, she still couldn't afford it. So I wrote the president of the conference. I wrote the president, the principal of Pine Forge, and said, let me go. Devereaux Page, and they were all poor, and they went. Why can't I go? It was 6 of those jokers, and they went. And nobody responded. Nobody ever wrote me back and said, you can come. And in 3rd grade, my mother tried to put us in church school, and at the middle of the year, we got put out, halfway out, because she didn't have any more money, which then sends another message to me. Never put people out in the middle of the academic year for finances, because somebody in that church should have paid that bill. So when it was time for me to go to college, I decided I was going to an Adventist college because that I could control. So I applied to 7 Adventist colleges. I got accepted into 7 Adventist colleges. And then I said, my sister was at Oakwood, but then I said, who's giving up the most money? La Sierra, Loma Linda gave up the most money. So I went there freshman year, and everybody knew my sister at Oakwood. And so then I decided, going to La Sierra, I loved it, had a great time, met some great people. And at the end of the year, I said, I need to be with my people. And so then I transferred to Oakwood. And as they say, you never look back.
Never look back.
Never look back. So
I didn't know about the trek to La Sierra.
The trek to La Sierra, yeah. That's when my other side, that's when I found people doing Frisbee on the Sabbath. I never knew. And I was like, blasphemy, you're going to hell for doing Frisbee on the Sabbath. I didn't know you could do Frisbee on the Sabbath. Go to the beach on the Sabbath. Like, I grew up in the black church. It was black and white. There was no, my godfather, okay, this is to show you how black my church was. It was black or you were white. There was no in between. My godfather, my entire life, had a twang to his voice. I didn't know he was Jamaican until I was grown and had come back from college.
Really?
I just thought something was wrong with his voice. Because nobody in my neighborhood was from the island. I didn't know what mango or avocado was until I was way in college. My friends that had pants said, "What's that?" Didn't know about anything. So I had to have an education, of that, and so that's what I got. So that's my background.
Okay.
So you transitioned from La Sierra and beach Adventism.
Beach Adventism.
To Oakwood.
To the cotton fields of Alabama.
That's right.
Cotton fields. The first time I picked some cotton, I got my fingers stuck, and I was like, I would have quit. They would have shot me. Like, they'd have been like, go pick your no, you're going to shoot me. This hurt my finger. You don't understand what our ancestors went through in order for us to make it. You don't understand the sacrifice of trying to find the moss on the right side of the tree so they could run north. You don't understand what trying to read. And I was just talking to Elder Brian about our young black men and how so many of them come to college with a 6th grade reading component. Our girls kind of hop on it, but our boys are kind of behind. And I said to him, one of the things that Oakwood has to look at is not putting our students out, but putting them into remedial courses so that we can, because if we don't train our black men, who's going to train them? We have less black boys, black men in college than any other of our nationalities in the world. Black boys.
So since you brought up Oakwood, why don't you walk us through your journey from Oakwood as a graduate, when we graduated in 1985,
Okay.
to now being the first woman president in the history of the institution.
So I never thought about being the first woman in the history of Oakwood. It just never crossed my mind. It was never, and somebody said it to me after I got there, like, you're the first woman. And I was like, what? Huh? Because God didn't call me to that. God called me to go to Oakwood to try to take it to where he wanted it to be. So it never occurred to me that I was the first woman in 129 years. It never occurred to me. And one of the things that I've just said to a media person, he said, we're going to get on this platform of the first woman. And I was like, we're not going to do that because I'm not at Oakwood to be the first woman. I'm at Oakwood to hasten God's soon coming.
Okay.
Doesn't matter who I am or where I am. So that trek goes from finishing my PhD in nursing and administration. I did a master's in '89 at Central Michigan. I then went back to school in '94 to do a PhD in nursing administration and ethics with a background in policy and administration. And even in doing that, when I graduated in '99, I was saying, okay, I'm not going to work for the Adventist. And I'm not going to work for the Adventist. I had an American Express Platinum card. I liked that life. I had been poor my whole life. I paid my dues. I wasn't trying to go back. Like, I had a Honda with no air like, I wasn't going back, you know. So I went to work for, I was looking for this job teaching. I knew I wanted to teach and go into academia. And I said, my give back will be, I'll go to Columbia Union College and I'll teach one class for them as my give back and to use that towards my student loans. Because when you go to Oakwood and you're poor, you got student loans. My oldest child was 15. I was still paying student loans.
Wow.
I paid the last student loan while he was 15, and then he went to Oakwood at 18.
Wow.
So my thing was, we were like, our kids are not gonna have student loans at Oakwood. So I traded in my Lexus and my BMW and got another Honda Accord. No temperature gauge, didn't know what the temperature was outside. It was brand new, but I was like, we're gonna drive this, we're not gonna have any debt, we're gonna get these kids through Oakwood. And we got both of them through Oakwood with no debt. And then when it was time for them to go to graduate school, we got our son through with a master's, no debt. But when my daughter went to law school and he went back for a second master's, y'all on your own. You're on your own, deuces. Now they got plenty of student debt. That's on y'all, but we done.
That's it.
Yeah, we gave you a free ticket.
Yep.
We are done. Like, train is over. The only gravy is gonna be in the Brown household. It is not gonna be in y'all's household. Okay, we're done. Pay for their weddings. Pay for the weddings. No debt from the weddings. Pay for that. It's a wrap. We're done. But so when I went to teach it at CUC, to do this one class, I did a seminar for them, and they said, okay, we want you to teach here full time. And I was like, I'm not teaching for the Adventist. And so that night I went to sleep.
She was serious about this.
I was serious about the thing. I went to bed one night, and Jesus is so, Jesus is always right, but Jesus gave me a dream of a Publishers Clearinghouse check, a big check. I've had this twice in life, and it was $44,000. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do with $44,900 on this check? And I was making $70,000 working part-time in nursing research. So why am I going to, it's $44,900. And when they offered me a position to be the associate chair of nursing, it was $44,900.
No, really?
That's something.
I was so sad.
I've never heard this story before.
I was so sad. I was so sad because that's one of those, hey, wake up. I'll tell you in a minute. Unless Jesus sit on the edge of my bed, Jesus be like, wake up. Get up. That was Jesus on the edge of my bed. So I took the job, and 3 weeks later, the chair of the department quit.
Wow.
She went to Walla Walla to become the chair and to get married, and I became the chair 3 weeks later.
3 weeks later, wow. That's something.
So I stayed for 6 years, and I got to tell you, I loved it.
Did you love it? Wow.
Absolutely loved it. Got some Oakwood grads to come work, and it was like, loved it. And worked for Randall Wisby, who then went to La Sierra, and it was fabulous. And so then in 2006, when I got to WAU, CUC at that point, our board scores were 77%, below standard and all of that. We got them up in a year. Passing rate. We got them up in a year. We got our students who didn't have any food. We started our food pantry. We got rice. We got all our stuff. We got our kids up. We got the people were going through divorce and separation. We did 100% straight through. So in 2006, to reward me for this great work, they moved me to another department.
Wow.
I was like, we're good here. I'm really good here. And they moved me to the School of Graduate and Professional Studies because they had the same problem. So I went there, and they had one graduate program. We started 7 more. We had 8. And then in 3 years, to reward me again, they had me to do the university status. So we went from CUC to WAU, and then they moved me to the School of Health Professions as a dean there.
Gotcha.
And then that stayed there until 2011. 12 Years a Slave, and that's when the first run of, it really was 12 Years a Slave. It was literally 12 Years a Slave.
I know.
No, this is serious.
Oh, man.
And so then we had some life changes of whatever, and so at that point I was on Loma Linda's board, and the dean there asked me if I would speak for graduation the next year for Loma Linda, and I said, well, I will, but I won't be. I gave her an alternate email address. And she said, why aren't you giving me your WAU email address? I said, because I won't be here. Now, I didn't know where I was going, but I knew where I wasn't going to be.
Right.
And so, you know how they say, you don't know who Boo Boo the Fool is, but you know who he not.
Right.
So I didn't know where I was going, but I knew where I wasn't going to be. And this was like August.
Yeah.
The Lord I had all summer, I had packed my office.
Yeah.
I had traded in my Honda Accord. I was down back up to BMW status.
Okay, all right.
I didn't lose that again. I didn't lose that again.
Gotcha,
But anyway, I was back up to BMW status. I didn't even put the sticker for parking on my car because I was like, I'm not going to be here. You know, I ain't got long to stay here.
Right.
I'm bound for the promised land. I know where I was going, but I was going somewhere. And so so she said, where are you going? I said, I don't know where I'm going, but I know I'm not going to be here in June.
Yeah.
She said, why don't you come out to La Sierra and you'd have to come off the board, but why don't you come to La Sierra? And I was like, I'm not moving to California. This is Loma Linda campus at this point. And she said, well, just come on anyway. She said, you and your spouse come. Dude, they did 2 days of interviews, and at the end of the 2 days, they said, we want you to work at Loma Linda.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, but I'm not moving to California. Small problem. I live in Maryland. And they said, this is before you could do remote learning.
Right.
They said, let's try something. We're gonna try to see if you can work remotely. We'll try it for a year.
Okay.
If it doesn't work, then we'll figure it out.
That's even precedent setting.
That is.
They gave you a year.
They gave me a year
to try to work that out.
with
Wow.
more pay than I had, and
Yeah.
I was like, blessed
Wow.
be the name of the Lord, and travel expenses.
Yeah.
So I did it for a year, and at the end of the year, it worked. I would go for X amount of time, I'd go home
Oh, wow.
and work. The only disadvantage was they have a 2 o'clock meeting. That's 5 o'clock in DC.
Sure.
So I'm on to 8 o'clock. But at the same time, in the morning, I could get my exercise done, do my other stuff, and not start work till 11 because that was 8 o'clock.
Correct.
So you worked it out. So after a year, they were like, let's do it another year. Did it another year. Then they gave me a 2-year contract.
Okay.
So this is the point with 4 years, I'm like, come on, Jesus. Come
Okay.
on, Jesus. We're
Yeah.
good. And the Lord said to me, don't get comfortable because it's time to move. I'm like, here we go again.
Wow.
Why?
Wow.
What did I do wrong?
Yeah.
It was, I love that. I love Loma Linda. Like, it was the best job ever. It was the best job ever. The only, not even issue, but it was like maybe myself and one other person of color there. Other than that, but it was good.
Yeah.
It was great.
Gotcha.
So midway in that 4th year, 3 people who don't know each other were on LinkedIn, and they saw this job at Howard. And the 3 of them called me separately and said, there's a job at Howard, you should apply for it. I was like, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
I'm at Loma Linda, we're good. I just got my next contract.
Sure.
We're good. But the 3rd person called me, and they didn't know each other. And I was like, here we go
wow.
again.
Okay.
Here we go again with the bed sitting. Here we go again. Jesus light.
Yeah.
Come on. So I went through like a 4-month interview at Howard because, our people, we're
Sure.
a little slow with,
Yeah.
whatever. And went in, and finally at the end of the 4 months, they offered me the job as the dean for the College of Nursing and Allied Health Sciences. And when they offered it to me, I said, the one thing I knew about Howard was they have Sabbath graduation. Because the Westneys would always have this graduation at First Church in DC. And so I knew as the dean, I would be expected to be at graduation on a Saturday. So I said to them, I can take this job. The pay was great. I wouldn't have to travel. I was really sad about Loma Linda, but I can't do Saturday graduation. And so they used the dean of dentistry. He took me out for dinner one night to this fancy restaurant, and he said, you would give up this job with this salary for one Saturday a year?
Wow.
He got a whole Bible study. At the end of that, he was like, okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Wow.
So then they
Look
said,
at
okay,
this.
we'll let you come, but we're not gonna, I said, I want it in writing, because I don't want at the end of the year
Right.
this to come up.
Sure.
They were like, we're not putting it in writing, but we'll honor our word. 4 weeks after I start working, they called. They're like, we got strategic planning. It's on a Saturday.
Yeah.
I already told you I
Yeah.
wasn't doing that.
Right.
So secretary is like, she's not going to come. She's not going to show up. Da-da-da-da-da. And then that whole year, it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
This is where Jesus has a real sense of humor.
Sure.
So graduation comes. I'm already on my stance of I go to Friday night till sunset. valet park my car, the sun setting. I run out, I jump in my car, I leave. They're like, there she goes. She's running like Cinderella. She's out. Because they know Friday night she's not going to be in any activity.
Right.
Guess who the speaker is for the first graduation?
Who is it?
Barack Obama. I said, Jesus, Lord have mercy. And the deans get to meet the speakers. It hurt me to my heart. Hurt me to my heart. I felt like I was one of the 3 Hebrew boys. God, can't I just one time? But I had made this stance all year.
So you couldn't break it.
I couldn't break it. I didn't even watch graduation. I just went to church. I went to church. I didn't even watch graduation. And at the end of that, my president called me in like 2 weeks later, and he said, so you missed graduation with Barack Obama. Tell me about your Sabbath.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
Because now he's interested. Now he's interested because he's like, anybody who would miss Barack Obama.
Sure. Yeah.
And now I'm thinking in my head, you don't want to hear about it because I'm right now, me and Jesus, I'm still sad I haven't met, and I still haven't met Barack Obama. I'm like, come on, Jesus, give me, you know. So anyway, that turned into a 10-year love relationship with Howard.
Wow.
Good times, bad times, any experience you have. We were able to double the enrollment. When I left, we had 649 students. I left, we had over 1,500 students.
Okay. Wow.
We grew our programs, we grew our accreditations. I had to close down some programs and reopen.
Students just in the nursing department?
It's not nursing department.
Okay.
Each college, Howard has 14 colleges.
Right.
Each college runs itself.
So
you run your college. So I ran my college.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's why the Lord was preparing me for Oakwood, not knowing that I was going to Oakwood because we had already done this dance. The last time I was on that stage, it didn't go so well. So we're done with this. Yeah. And so I'm at Howard. I get my first contract 3 years. I get my next contract is 4 years. I get my next contract. I'm good. And Howard never gives you your contract until like May or June. This year, Howard gave me my contract in March.
Wow. Okay.
So that was them saying, we really want you to stay.
And I was the longest standing dean at that point. But listen to this is how God works it out. Because if Howard had not given, so I go to, you got to see God's timing, okay? So the presidency, they start interviewing in March, and in February. I had already had a job interview for a presidency in January. And I had gone through the process and then I turned it down. Wow. But I told my boss about it. So my boss said, well, we don't want this to happen again. We're going to get you your contract early. So instead of doing June, we're going to do February, March, so that you're locked in, so you don't go to any more interviews.
Right. Wow.
This is before Oakwood. So they give me this contract. They add on top of my lovely 6-figure salary, they add on a $30,000 increase. Wow. Then they add on the bonus because they want you to, we want you to stay. We want you to know your value. You're the longest standing dean. We want you to stay. And I'm like, blessed be the name of the Lord. My pastor was excited. He was like, whoo, bring me all the time into the storehouse. Right? Everybody's excited. We all excited, right? And I go to Antarctica with my son and my daughter. So I take a vacation. My son is married, no kids. My daughter's married, 1 kid. And I do a separate vacation because everybody wants mommy's time. So mom's time. Sorry, they're professionals. Everybody wants mom's time. So I go to vacation with Blair and Andrew. Blair's an attorney. Andrew's an epidemiologist. Bronson's a ICU nurse, open heart, and Natalie's an ICU nurse, open heart. And so I do separate vacations because we did this vacation thing together, and the light was everybody's got their own thing. So they travel differently. They all got their stuff going. We got the dinks with no kids. We got the kid over here.
Little Anderson,
who is life, breath of life itself. So
cute kid.
Yeah, he's such adorable. So Anderson. So we go on vacation with them. So, but March was Antarctica with Bronson and Natalie. Trip of a lifetime. I mean, we are balling, man. And these kids are we're on a ship with 150 people.
Oh man.
So they catering to everything. They got their own room. They living their best life with no kids. They keep saying we having kids. I'm like, whatever. And they got their stuff. I got my room. It took a kidney to pay for it, but it is what it is. Right. We had a ball, right? Except they play Uno every night, and they play one game, and they don't play till the next night. I hate that. I want y'all to know when y'all hear this, I don't like that. Okay. Right. But anyway, because they win, because all they got to do is play Uno. Right. So anyway, and while I'm on the ship, my contract from Howard comes in. Now, I've had a preliminary with Oakwood, but I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. So I say to my boss, I'm on the ship. I'll sign it when I get back. We're good. We get back, and then I have the next preliminary with Oakwood, but I'm just doing it because my brother Daryl, it's like 3 people who are saying, you just need to go through the process. You need to go through the process.
Yeah.
I want to go through the process. Y'all playing games. I'm not doing this. I just got my contract from Howard is early.
Right.
That's a sign from Jesus, the light of the world, that I'm going that I'm staying here. They're early. They're never early.
Yeah.
And so I go through this thing, and then I have the next interview, and at this point it's getting serious because now we're down to they go from 60 candidates to 6.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah, I'm not doing this. Nah, this is getting too serious, right? So I'm like, no, I'm not, this is getting too serious. So I have a conversation one night with my besties, and he says to me, Gina, pray for clarity and conviction and confidence. I got confidence, but I don't want to go through this. He's like, just pray and ask the Lord what he wants you to do. Me and Jesus are good. And he's just like, pray for that. So I prayed for it, and then I go to church, and my pastor, Dr. William Joseph, preaches the worst sermon I have ever had on God's will. And I say to his wife, your husband is a horrible pastor, he's a horrible preacher, and I don't want to hear no sermons on God's will. And then I was like, I texted him and said, worst sermon ever. Because God is just like convicting me, like, you got to be in my will, and you got to be in God's will, you got to be in God's will. And I go and I weep, and like, God, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to do this, but I feel you calling me to do this, but I don't want to do this. I'm comfortable.
So
and
you're
I'm
Jonah at this point.
And that's my son kept saying, Mommy, do you want to be Jonah? Do you want to be in the belly of a big fish? Then you need to go. So my son is like, and my daughter's like, no, Mom. My son-in-law, they're like, they had their chance. No, you're good. You're doing good. You're the top of the pyramid. Leave it alone, right? So I'm praying, I'm fasting, I'm asking God, take this cup from me. God, remove this thing. And so finally, I'm struggling with this thing, and finally I'm praying for Buddy Bird. I'm like, Carlton Bird needs to be the next president. And I'm praying for him. I'm not praying for myself no more. I'm praying for him. Because now we're down to like the last ones. I'm praying. And he praying for me, and I'm praying for him, and I'm like, nah. So finally they're like, they did all the interviews live except mine. Because remember, I'm just coming back, and they're like, we're going to do you by Zoom. So I'm like, this is another disadvantage because I'm Zoom. They do the Zoom, and then they're like, can you come to Oakwood on Sunday? You got to be kidding. So I go to Oakwood on Sunday, but I'm just not whatever. I get my nephew, I take him to Cracker Barrel, we eat some pancakes, go to interview. I don't go with any notes, no purse, nothing, because I'm just going to talk what I know. I'm just going through the motions. I'm going to talk about what I know. I'm going to talk about how to build a school because I know how to do this. It's secondhand. This is what the gifting that Jesus has given me. Just going to talk about it. That's going to be it. And then the next day they call me and they're like, we want you to be the president of Oakwood.
Wow.
And I was like speechless. So I go in my office and I've been there 10 years and I've never cried at work. And my second in command is an Oakwood graduate. She's a Samson. And she comes in my office and she looks at my face and she's like, what's wrong? Like, they've never seen me sad. No matter what I've been through. My mother died, they didn't see me sad. I'm not gonna be sad at work. That's for the circle. They not the circle. We work together. And she comes in and she shuts the door. She said, what's wrong? And I said, they want me to go to Oakwood to be the president. I don't want to go. And I burst into tears and I cried for 10 minutes straight. And she just rubs me. She prays over me. She's rubbing me, and she says, we have a team. And she says, we got to let the team know. And, just to kind of, we call in the team come in. The team, they know Jesus, but they know Jesus, but they so one of them comes in, she starts taking off her earrings. She's like, oh, who made the dean cry? What's going on? We about to fight somebody. Like, other one comes in, he's like, oh, it's on and popping now. The other one comes in, she just came off her smoke break. She's like, oh, this is about to be on and popping. Who? This Dr. So-and-so? I was like, no. And so we tell them, and we're all in there crying. And this is when we talk about the fleece and all of that. And I prayed the whole week, and I just prayed and asked the Lord, give me clarity. And the Lord kept, and I put the fleece out and kept getting clarity. And God, give me clarity. God, give me clarity. And finally, by Thursday, the Lord was like, you got to go.
Wow.
You got to go. And so once I made the decision, and I sent it to my daughter. She was like, Mom, I regret to inform you, you got to go to Oakwood.
Gotta go.
You got to go. And once I made the decision, peace. It was like peace. God was like, you got to go, and so I just follow Jesus.
Wow, that's amazing.
You know?
Man, it's just really powerful, because I think sometimes people will see a position like Oakwood, which is this legacy position, being president, like as if it's nothing to think about, nothing to consider, nothing to pray about, but to just kind of hear the story of the agony and the angst, and the resistance, and the prevailing of God's
and
will.
then your book comes out, I'm like, excuseless. I hate Pastor Snell. I'm throwing this book across the room. Excuseless. It's still sitting there on my thing. Like, why would he write a book about excuseless? You know, and all of it's just like I'm mad at you too.
I'm mad
at you too. And so I do have a nice
show. It's funny because me and Dr. Joseph, we actually are good friends.
Oh my goodness! Like, I didn't even know that. So I said, excuseless comes out, and the Lord. But I would tell you, when you're in God's will, I stopped, you know, and my best is like, stop worrying about the pay. God has never abandoned you. God has never left you without. Stop worrying about the pay. Stop worrying about.
You definitely took a pay cut.
That cut is when you just take a look, like cut is when you just do like a trim. Like, you know, this is like going bald, you know. Like, I went from like full weave to like bald, like, you know, but the Lord in his wisdom just said, you know, don't worry about it. Like, I've got you. You know, I've got you. You're the moving, and it's like my car's not even in Huntsville yet. You know, and he just said, you know, and Dave knows, when they bought the first set of my stuff, they left 2/3 of it in Maryland by accident.
Oh wow! Oh man!
And it was like everything you could think of, and I was just like, first world problem.
First world
problem. You know, the Lord had already had me pack my stuff for GC, and first world problem. And it's like, whatever happens, I can't worry about it, because I know God has called me to be here. So everything else is secondary. I know that if I'm faithful with my tithe and offering, that God is going to make me ride upon the high places of the earth. And I know that God is going to supply my needs and some of my wants. I haven't turned in my platinum card yet, so I haven't stopped spending. You know, all the red bottoms, anything you see has already been bought before. That was a PH, a BH before Howard.
Gotcha.
You know, BO before Oakwood. Before Oakwood. You know, any designer stuff you see, don't think it's my Oakwood pay. It was a BO before Oakwood. You know, they be like, oh, she loves this. It's before Oakwood. Before Oakwood. I paid my dues, you know, before Oakwood. So don't think I'm buying anything new. It's done.
Listen, we expect that as you walk in the ways of the Lord, that He's going to cause you to ride on high places in the earth. So
let me just say,
we won't hold it against you.
I paid off my car before I got here. You know, I paid off anything I could pay off before I got here, because I knew, you know, the harvest is right, but the laborers are few.
Laborers are few.
And so
the money is not as much.
And the making is not as much. But, you know, even in that, I'm not concerned, because God's got me. God is going to take care of my needs. He's going to take care of my wants. He's going to take care of whatever. One of the ladies was at my house this week trying to get some furniture, and she said, you ain't got a stitch of food in here. You need to go to Oakwood's food pantry. I done not a cracker in this house.
You got to go to the pantry.
She said, you got to go to the pantry. I said, I'm good. I'm going to be gone. So but the Lord, I trust the Lord.
Amen.
And I know that the Lord is going to work it out.
And he will.
And he will. Yeah.
So, Dr. Spivey Brown, I want to ask you a question or two before we wrap this up, and Pastor Snell may have a question as well. What is your message to students, to faculty, and to alumni?
So I'm going to start with alumni, because I'm an alum, a double alum. And I'm going to start with alum because sometimes as alum, we forget where we came from. We forget what we had to do to get to Oakwood, and then we're now riding upon the high places of the earth, and so we forget those things. And so for our alum, my first message is give back to where you came from. Give back, even if you don't want to give to the university, give to students. Sponsor a student. If you can't pay for a whole student, give whatever you have towards getting a student through Oakwood. You remember how hard it was for you to get through. There were very few. 93% of our students are on Pell Grant. 93% get Pell Grant. So that means only 7% of people's bills are being paid directly by their mom or dad. And that 7% may be pastors who get a discount, or a doctor or a lawyer. So our students need help. They need help. They need money. They need tuition. They need clothes. They need whatever. Come put some money on a student's bill. We have an alum, I'm going to call her name out, Stephanie Peterson, who every semester gives to at least 4 or 5 students, calls and says, who needs something, and puts that on their bill. She probably doesn't even know I know that. Well, you have people who do that. So give.
Stephanie Peterson McMillan.
That's right, McMillan.
Yes.
And people who give back.
Yes.
$100, give $200, just give back, so our students like you who want to go to Oakwood can make it through. That's 1. 2, come volunteer. We're going to have volunteers on campus to help move students in, and we're gonna check their background. We got Phyllis,
August the 3rd.
August the 3rd. We got Phyllis Pilo Evans, our attorney, who's volunteering to back check you. So if you come in for something nefarious, you will be frisked down and checked. Okay, but we're having volunteers to come in and to help move students in and put $50 in their hand, or take them to Walmart and give them a gift card.
I love it.
Give back. The second thing for our alum is be concerned. Not just a concerned Oakwoodite, but a concerned and informed and involved person who wants to be, no pun intended, who wants to be involved in Oakwood and in what we're doing. One of my things is transparency and communication and consistency. So I'm going to give you the good, I'm going to give you the bad. And I have a 120-day State of the University, which is October 29th at 12 noon. It's going to be broadcast so that people know what I'm walking into, what we're walking into together, and what's expected next steps. And so give back. So that's to our alum, to give back in prayer, give back in money. My predecessor said they'll pray for you, but they're not going to give you any money. Show yourself strong. Give back some money.
All right.
That's 1. To our faculty and our staff, because our faculty and staff are the same. There's nothing more important than the faculty, nothing more important than staff. And people need to understand that. You can't run a school without staff. You can't run it without faculty. So to our faculty and staff, thank you for the sacrifices that you've made to work at Oakwood. They could make so much more money not working at Oakwood. They give their lives to work at Oakwood. They give their bread and their heart and their soul, and then they get retirement, which is a pittance. So thank you for working at Oakwood and for giving your life. I'm going to work on salaries. That's something I'm going to work on for faculty and staff. But for right now, such as I have, give I thee. In the name of Jesus Christ, rise up and walk, because we don't have anything else. But to them, it's important for them to understand. We see the sacrifice. We know what you're doing and what you're giving, and we thank you for that. And then to our students, I've gotten from our USM, about the jewelry thing and about this thing and that thing. We are a North American division school. So let me just put this out there so they can hear it live. I have no issue with jewelry. We're going to be walking on streets of gold. We're gonna be, my house gonna have diamond windows, and I don't have an issue with jewelry. I have jewelry, but the bottom line is this: we're a North American school, 7-day Adventist institution of higher learning. Our guidelines and rules say on campus we don't wear that. Now if they go to Walmart, I'm not chasing you down to tell you to take your earrings off. But when you hit the campus, I don't want to see booty shorts. I don't want to see a belly ring. I don't want to see your jewelry. When you go off campus and you're not representing the university, wear whatever you want to wear. But when you hit the campus, represent the brand. We're going to also have a professional day that once a week they're dressing up as professionals.
I love it.
Because we're putting it out here as an Oakwood man, an Oakwood woman, how you come, how you dress, what you're doing. We're going to, on Sabbath, if you don't want to go to church, as my mother would say, you don't have to leave home, but you got to get out of here. Residence hall is going to be closed from 11 to 1. You going somewhere, so you can go to church and sleep. They got to sleep through your, because you're the clapper, so nobody going to sleep through your sermon. They're not sleeping through your sermon. Go wherever, but we're going to have, we want you out. We want you doing, we're going to do, you and I talked about the whole evening, afternoon, going to the nursing homes and the rest homes and doing things, activities.
You going old school.
We want you so tired that by the time you go to do your laundry on Sunday, your tongue is hanging out. We're having activities.
That orientation to service is critical to that matriculation. Like we enter to learn, but we depart to serve.
And here's my thing: people, it's like, oh, well, it's Oakwood has changed. If you want to go to A&M and have an A&M life, go to A&M. But we're standing for the brand.
I love it.
The brand is 7-day Adventist institution of higher education. Your grandmother didn't sacrifice to send you to Oakwood for you to look like an A&M girl.
Okay.
Your uncle didn't put his stuff on and sign for your student loan for you to look like an A&M boy. We are not of the world. We have to be the model. We have to be the stance. And so it's going to take some yanking and some pulling and some whatever. But at the end of the day, what does the Lord say? What does the Lord require you? We're a North American 7-day Adventist institution of higher learning. And no, you're not going to hell if you wear earrings. That's not the issue. But our brand says, change your life or change your name. This is what we wear on campus. as a student.
Yeah.
So that's where we are in
Right.
terms of our clothing, how we dress, how we look. Because I went to a shop one day to get my beat up Honda fixed, and it was a ghetto shop. I went to the hood because you go to the hood, you get the best prices.
Right.
So I went to Southeast DC. I went to the hood to get my stuff done. And the guy was dressed to the nines. Like, dude was dressed. And I said, I'm thinking to myself, you're in the hood. Why are you dressing like this? And he said, because the way you dress is the way you think. I'm dressing for my next job.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, let me tip you right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was in the hood
Yeah.
shop for me to get my car fixed,
Right.
dressed with a suit on, tie shirt, because he said, my grandmother told me dress for your next position.
I love it.
Yeah.
So as we go to Oakwood, faculty will dress for their next position. Staff will dress for the next position. Students will dress for the next position.
Yeah.
I'm going to dress for my next position. We all, as we're transitioning and teaching and leading, and then we're going to learn under the power of the word as we sit in church together how to be a Christian and live it.
Amen.
And then to pour it out there. So that's all we're trying to do. We're not trying to change anybody, condemn anybody, shame anybody.
Yeah.
We're not doing that. We're simply trying to get people to understand the word of God, where he is, what our brand is,
Yeah.
and
But
live the life.
You know what you're describing? We used to call it discipleship. That's really what it is. I mean, just creating patterns and rhythms that move you in the direction of eternal things.
love it.
That's what discipleship is.
Okay.
Listen, we got to wrap. So one last question, and I've learned a lot already. But tell us something about you, or just or
One thing.
the
One
audience. There's one thing that people probably don't know or would be surprised to know.
Yeah.
Well, I've
us
already
some insight
I
into
mentioned insight,
Dr.
intel.
Gina Spivey Brown.
Yeah. Favorite show, favorite food.
Oh, you don't want to hear favorite show because
Okay.
they would put me on the list.
Favorite,
I don't.
Favorite food.
Favorite food.
favorite
Oh my
song,
goodness.
artists.
You don't want to hear that either because
Okay.
they put me on the list again. I would say my favorite artist besides Whitley Phipps. Okay, I'm gonna go Whitley Phipps
Phipps is
here.
number one. Okay,
Okay.
I'm gonna go Whitley Phipps here and Stevie Wonder over here.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
All right. I'm gonna go
We
Motown.
like
I'm
that.
gonna go
I like
Motown
that.
over
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
Don't
I
get
like
close to
that.
my car. I'm gonna
I
turn
got
the
you.
speakers down.
Yeah.
We go over here.
Yeah.
And then I'm definitely going Whitley Phipps, Walter Ortiz. I'm going that
Oh,
direction
man.
with that.
Hey, Walter Ortiz.
I'm going. I'm going Lorna Harris. Okay, I'm going Lorna Harris. I'm going straight there. Not Sandy Patty. She okay, but I'm going Lorna Harris. I'm going to Winans. I'm going Commission.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going with
I
that.
got you. Okay.
Food.
Okay.
I'm a flexitarian.
Okay.
So yeah, I like meat. Meat doesn't like me.
Yeah.
So I don't eat a lot of meat. I like fish. Fish is okay.
Yeah.
Barbecue chicken would be my favorite, but it doesn't like me. So I'm careful about what I eat. And veggie meat doesn't like me either. So I can't even. Yeah, I swell. Like I'm 4 months pregnant, like in 30 minutes. So it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
So that will be it in terms of food. Activities. As much as I hate doing it, I do strength training.
Okay.
Okay. So I got to find a gym in Huntsville. I got to find a trainer.
Yeah.
I love diving. It allows me to get my mind off of what you can't think about anything diving except staying alive.
Yeah.
Staying alive. So I love that because it takes your mind off of that.
Okay.
When I run or walk or whatever, it takes your mind off of anything else because all you're trying to do is stay alive.
Alright.
So I love outside activities. Last year, I took a shot at climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. I almost made it to the top.
Come on now.
And I was on the last day, and the trainer said, listen, you can make it to the top, but we're not sure you're going to make it back down.
Wow.
And that's code for
Yeah.
you need to know when to fold them, know
Yeah.
when to hold them, know
Yeah.
when to walk away, and know when to run. Don't count your money at the table.
That's it.
So I came back down the mountain, but I'm gonna try it again.
Okay. All
By
right.
God's grace, I'm gonna try it again. So those would be my daredevil stuff.
So we have gotten a really good glimpse
Yeah, we did.
into the
This is
thinking,
amazing.
the life, the vision of my very good friend, Dr. Gina Spivey Brown. Thank you for joining
Thank you.
us.
Right.
This is
Joining
my
us.
honor,
For
past
Breathe.
my honor, Dave. You already know,
Yes,
right?
yes,
S1, S2. You already know.
That's right.
And Pastor Snell, as we're getting to know each other, I want you to know that I support Oakwood University Church 100%.
Yep.
Our students will be supporting church as we work on initiatives together. You will have 100% of our support.
Yep.
Whatever you're doing, we're doing together.
That sounds great.
And the church and the university will not be two entities,
Amen.
but it'll be one entity. But we're following your lead because you are the pastor, and we want you to know that we support that, and that besides scheduling my inauguration without asking you. I
No,
apologize.
Listen,
Pastor Snell was like, look, let's get this straight,
No,
okay?
no.
This is my church, okay? You scheduling stuff and you'll let me know. We going to be friends, but I'm going to tell you. And I love that. I love that. So
We just had it over.
he's like, we need to know what's going on.
Yeah.
So, but I need you to understand and know
Sure.
that we follow, Wednesday night prayer meeting, chapel, all of the things that the church is involved in. As you do your next book, whatever it's going to be, excuseful or whatever, we're going to be a part of that.
Yeah.
We're going to be a part of that.
And Dr. Brown, you should know that we bathed this entire search process in prayer. And as I'm sitting here listening to you, there is great excitement because I think, and not that was just my prayers, but I feel like this is the demonstration of God's will being done. And I want you to know that you have our undying support.
Thank you.
I want to be either Aaron or her to hold up your
Yes,
hands
yes.
and to ensure that the university succeeds under your leadership and under your direction. And I want you to know that's not just lip services, because one of the things that the church is good for, especially when you take on a new responsibility, is saying, we got your back. And it's really just a bunch of talk. But I want you to know that you have our prayers, you have our confidence, you have our support,
Thank
and
you.
whatever we can do to
Can I
make
get to
that
the
journey.
food pantry? Can I make it to the food
No,
pantry?
we'll make it work. Especially while you're building your pantry at your house. We'll make sure you're straight.
Nah, I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
good. But
All
thank
right.
you, and I thank
All right.
both of you so
Yeah.
much for having me. This
Yes.
has been my honor
All right.
and my privilege to breathe with you all.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful thing to see the synergy
It
between
is.
the two of you, too, I got to say.
Yeah.
Folks, we are glad that you've joined us for another episode of Breathe. David Person, Pastor Snell, Dr. Gina Spivey Brown, and Pastor Kirk Nugent over there.
In the
You can't
corner.
see him, but he's there doing his thing as well. God bless you. And don't forget, no matter how challenging life may be, you can always stop, pray, and breathe.
Love it.
Breathe is produced by David Person for Breath of Life. Executive producer is Debleaire Snell, and sound engineer is Kirk Nugent. Audio episodes of Breathe can be found on Apple, Spotify, or Google Podcast platforms. For video episodes and extra content, check out the Breath of Life YouTube channel. Breath of Life is faith-based content, resources, and programs from a contemporary urban perspective for those looking for hope and guidance. We believe that every breath we take is a testimony that God is consistent, that He loves us, and has a plan for our lives.